welcome to Side Quest. I'm Michelle and I'm joined by Andre today. We're going to talk about everything gaming, but specifically Crackdown 3 and what we have thought about it so far. So just to start off, how far into the game are you?
So for Crackdown, I'm probably about 12 hours into the game. I've unlocked a couple of the agents and I've done what seems like a lot of missions to take down and retake the city. And it really feels at this point that I'm not really getting anywhere in it. I love orb hunting, and I think I'm spending too much time on that than going after the big bad guys, but I've done one boss battle and it just seemed to drag a little.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I've completely actually beaten the game. But I beat it in just under 6 hours. Wow. So, and I do a lot of orb hunting. Like that's my thing. That's what I love about Crackdown. But it can be played really, really quickly. The story doesn't have too much substance. It's a lot of rinse and repeat for all of the big bads. So you can beat it, honestly, if you wanted to just do the bare bones story, probably in like 3-ish hours. It would definitely be harder because you do need to level up to get further.
Yeah.
But it's 100% doable.
And on the rinse and repeat thing, if you have ever played any of the previous Crackdowns, you've played this Crackdown. It looks fantastic. It controls the same, and I'm playing it on the Xbox X, and it's smooth and it's quick, but it's just Crackdown. And I really felt that there needed to be something else. Like this game was how long in the making? Almost 9 years?
Yeah.
9 years between games, and they basically delivered us a polished...
Crackdown 2.
Yeah, Crackdown 2.5,
yeah.
But it's bigger, you know? And I really feel that maybe that kind of took me out of continuing to do the game, because before it was this really fun run around, collect, get stronger, get better. But I've done that for the previous 2 Crackdowns, and I didn't really feel like anything was different.
Yeah. One of the huge selling points of Crackdown 3, and we saw it in all the promos, was the fact that Terry Crews, of course, was involved in the game. This is going to be a huge spoiler if you haven't played it, but his character, unless you pick him to play, dies within the first couple minutes of the game. So I found that to be super disappointing.
Yeah. In the opening introduction of the game, very cool graphic scene, somebody hits the agent's base, there's this large explosion, and they are all atomized, except for the character you obviously pick. You're badly burned and badly hurt, but you can be regenerated. So if you pick somebody other than Terry Crews, you don't have that cool, charming guy voicing your game character. So yeah, very weird move by Microsoft. He was in all their advertisements, he was promoting the game, and you don't get to play directly as him. I think you used a female agent for the first time.
Yeah, that was a huge thing at E3. They were saying there's playable females in the game, so naturally that's who I picked. But I was still thinking, of course, Terry Crews would be talking to me and I'd still get to interact with his character. And I didn't. Of course, in the game, you can pick up like the DNA of the deceased agents and you can switch your avatar, but I personally never did that.
Yeah, I think that's kind of one of the fun things about a lot of these modern games is that when you pick an avatar that you like, you want to run around and play as that. And a lot of games really bank on that. But I think in this one, it's like Terry Crews is Terry Crews. If you love him and the humor, you really want to use that. So I don't see the logic behind that move. But hey, you know, maybe the powers that be just wanted choice for everything, and but it's a weird choice.
It was definitely interesting. So something we're doing here for Side Quest is we have a little scoring system we're going to use for reviewing our games. So there are 5 categories we're going to be scoring the game on. The first is graphics, then gameplay, story, sound, and innovation. So we're going to use our little handy dandy whiteboards, and we are going to score Crackdown 3 on its graphics.
All right.
So I scored it an 8 out of 10. I thought the graphics were good. They were next gen, I would say. I played on Xbox One X, so of course it was pretty good, but it wasn't anything like astounding to me. The Crackdown world is kind of stylized a certain way that I don't think is just my personal favorite. So 8 out of 10.
So for me, I gave it a 9 out of 10. I thought the graphics were very good, and I thought the graphic design was very slick in some places. The character agent skins look really cool, and as they kind of evolved and got bigger, you did see that. A lot of the vehicles were unique, but some of them did seem like they were kind of regressed. And the only thing I really didn't like about the graphics is some of the creature characters, or not creatures, they're all kind of human. They looked very generic from far away, but when you got close up to some of them and punched them or something, they looked pretty good. But I think your character and the world looked very, very nice. And again, on the 1X, it played smooth and it was very slick.
Next, we have gameplay. So, erase this. You want to go first?
All right, yes. So, gameplay and control, I gave it a 7 out of 10. Now, the controls are responsive. However, at the beginning of the game, your agent really feels like a sack of lead. So if you're going around, you have to make them faster, you have to make them more agile, you have to make them hit harder. And at the beginning of the game, it just doesn't feel that. Also, like we mentioned earlier, it is just the exact same. So they didn't add anything to the control-wise. So it's just very similar to a game that came out on the Xbox 360. So 7 out of 10 for me.
Mine is a 9, but a tentative asterisk 9. The reason for that is I have an Elite controller. So for me, this game was really great for the button mapping. I was able to map the buttons differently and actually made it feel a little bit more smooth for me. But that being said, if you didn't have that, it's the same game that we've previously played and the same controls. So it's a harder one to score.
Next up is story.
Okay. I will go first. I gave it a 5, so it's just perfectly in the middle. It was nothing, it's super exciting. It was the same thing I've seen before in the previous Crackdowns, but I do like the previous Crackdowns. I still like that universe and that world, so it's a even 5 for me.
The story took a hit for me. I gave it a 3 out of 10. Now, as Michelle has said, the story is pretty similar to the other Crackdowns, and it is a totally generic story and with literally the most cliches ever. However, it's the type of game where you're just running around punching and beating up people. So obviously it's not going to get, 9s or 10s, but I think they could have actually added some something there. It just felt very flat, very plain, very, if you've played video games for a while, you've definitely played this exact story. So 3 out of 10 for me.
So the next category is sound. So how were the sound effects? How was the music? Anything related to that? Go ahead.
All right. So I gave the sound a 7 out of 10. Again, the sound was crystal clear on my system, and it was pretty good. I have to say, the explosions and some of the stuff tearing apart, that was really cool. But I did feel that some of the different guns could have sounded a little bit more unique. You do have a lot of weapons in the game, but there wasn't a lot of originality in how they sounded. There was some originality in how they actually played a little bit, adding to your tactics in the game. But again, the sound didn't wow me. It wasn't anything super original, or like, you turn your system up and you're like, feeling the bass it wasn't that. And again, the sound of the score and the soundtrack, not very memorable for me.
Yeah. I gave it a 6, honestly, for almost exactly the same reasons. I remember liking the music in Crackdown in the previous ones. This one didn't really do anything for me. I didn't find myself jamming out at all, which for me, I remember that from Crackdown. I remember loving the sound.
I remember that was one of the reasons you jack other people's cars, because they had different radio stations, and it was kind of this funny type of stuff. In this, I think they literally probably poured it over.
They got lazy. And I found, especially after Terry Crews died, voice acting wise, that's it. Okay, last category is innovation.
All right.
Which is, did it do anything new or exciting? Okay, so for innovation, I gave it a 1. It didn't do anything new. Really, honestly, I feel like I should have given it a 0, except for the fact that I liked the concept of being able to switch to a different agent, though I never did that. That was an interesting idea because the different agents had like different perks and different skills. So the one I played as, you would get more driving XP, and I hate driving, so that was amazing. But after I picked my girl, I never switched.
Yeah. All right. I gave it a generous 3, and the reason I'm giving it a 3 is because there was actually a couple of things that were new in it from the gunplay wise. I did mention there was a lot of different guns, but the core of the gameplay was the same. And they did add a mechanic where you could drive your vehicle up walls.
Yep.
Now, they added that, but it wasn't
It
good.
was garbage.
Oh my God, the camera angle would change and you're like, I can't even get around.
It made me nauseous at one point. It was like flipping. I think I honestly broke the game by trying to do that. So I completely gave up with that.
Even though they tried to be innovative, it didn't execute well. So yeah, 3 being really generous.
Yep. So I don't know the math, but we'll put the math of our total score out of 50 so you can see what our scores were. Okay, so this is my final score for Crackdown 3. That's Andre's final score. If you have like $90 lying around and you don't care, then like it's a couple fun hours of just like messing around. But like the average person probably doesn't have that, so I don't recommend this game.
I think this game might have a little bit of potential if you're playing with a squad of 4 buddies and you just want that mindless beat 'em up, trash a city type of game. It's also available on Microsoft Game Pass, so that might be a really great way to play it. But all in all, I cannot really recommend this game just because I don't think you'll get enough variety to play it. And it's kind of a shame because Microsoft did spend a lot of time developing this game, but obviously maybe not enough time.
Kind of missed the mark a little bit. So yeah, this has been SideQuest. I'm Michelle, and this is Andre. Definitely check us out at all our social medias, and see you later.
Happy gaming.